You know what I'm talking about. When you haven't eaten enough and suddenly you're like, I'm fine, and then 5 minutes later you're mumbling through clenched teeth because you're hangry and you're one minor inconvenience away from flipping a table. What's up, you beautiful beasts? In this video, we're going to talk about tracking. Calories, macros, points, apps, spreadsheets, all the little boxes that promise peace and sometimes deliver a full-blown mental breakdown on a random Tuesday. If you have ever felt calm when you track and panicked when you don't, or if going over one of your numbers has made you feel like you failed as a human, this video is for you. We are going to cover tracking from all angles: what it's for, what it's not, how it can help, how it can spiral, when to stop, and how to heal the beast when numbers have gotten tangled up with fear, control, and self-worth. Let's get into it.
Disclaimer, I am not a licensed therapist. I'm an NASM certified personal trainer, certified nutritionist, and master neurotransformational results coach. Heal the Beast is about exploring personal growth, resilience, and self-connection, not clinical diagnosis or treatment. This space is not therapy. It's reflection, insight, and tools to help you reconnect with your body, your story, and your strength. I'm trained to support deep inner work, emotional healing, and nervous system regulation. If you ever need more than what's here, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional. There's no shame in seeking help, and you don't have to do this alone. Healing isn't linear, and it doesn't have to be logical to be real.
What tracking is for and what it is not for. Tracking is for awareness. Tracking is for information. Tracking is for learning patterns and building basic nutrition literacy. It can help you learn what you're actually eating and what portions look like in real life, and then how those portions actually land in your body, because a serving size is not a law. It's a reference point. It's not a moral boundary, and it's not a food coupon. Some days your body might feel great with less, and some days you might need more. The goal isn't to obey the portion or force yourself to finish it. The goal is to learn what that amount does for your hunger, energy, digestion, mood, cravings, training, sleep, and focus. Tracking can help you see trends over time and make adjustments from a place of curiosity. Now, tracking is not for earning your worth. It's not a morality system, and it's not a courtroom where the app is the judge and you are on trial. It's not meant to be punishment or a daily test of whether you deserve food, rest, or confidence. Data is neutral. Food is not a report card. And your value as a human does not rise and fall based on whether you hit a number. If tracking helps you feel informed and grounded, totally awesome. If tracking makes you feel anxious, rigid, or like a failure when you don't do it perfectly, then the tool has stopped being a tool and started acting like a threat system. How tracking can be helpful in learning about nutrition and your own body. So there's a version of tracking that's genuinely educational, like tracking as a temporary science experiment, not a lifelong parole officer living in your phone. It can teach you what protein actually looks like outside of the label. Not in a weird diet culture way, but in a, oh, that's why I'm starving an hour later kind of way. It can teach you how certain choices affect your energy and appetite. It can also teach you what happens when you accidentally undereat all day, and then your brain turns into a snack-seeking missile at night, hunting chips like it's on a mission from the universe. But the real value, the part that people skip, is that tracking can help you learn how food makes you feel. Not just physically, but mentally too, because food doesn't just hit your stomach, it hits your whole life. You know what I'm talking about. When you haven't eaten enough and suddenly you're like, I'm fine, and then 5 minutes later you're mumbling through clenched teeth because you're hangry and you're one minor inconvenience away from flipping a table. That's information. That's your body giving feedback. You might start noticing patterns like maybe a breakfast with actual substance makes you feel calmer and less snacky all morning. Or maybe living off of coffee and vibes until mid-afternoon turns you into a cranky little goblin who suddenly needs sugar and chaos. You might realize that certain foods leave your digestion feeling angry, or that when you don't get enough carbs, your workouts feel like you're trying to run Windows 95 on a dead laptop battery. You might even notice that when you eat in a rush, you don't feel satisfied no matter what the meal was. And here's the thing, your patterns might look different than mine. They probably will. And they might look totally different than Aunt Mildred's too, or your mom's. And that's the whole point. That's the difference between building a relationship with your body and treating your body like it's a problem to solve. And it all comes down to mindset. Learning lives in curiosity, and you guys know my opinion on this. Curiosity is a superpower. Curiosity is you noticing patterns, connecting dots, and getting information without turning it into a shame spiral. Policing is when the app becomes a weapon and every single data point turns into self-attack and catastrophe. If tracking is helping you learn and feel more grounded, it might be serving you. But if tracking is stealing your peace and turning food into a daily verdict, we might need to talk about what's going on underneath and what it's really trying to protect you from.
When tracking becomes an obsession.
Tracking becomes an obsession when the number stops being information and starts being safety. When your brain starts believing that knowing the number means that you're okay and not knowing the number means that you're not okay. It's that feeling of needing the app to tell you who you are today. Good, bad, safe, unsafe, in control, out of control. Obsession shows up when flexibility disappears. When eating without logging feels scary. When a restaurant meal feels like a threat instead of a normal part of life. When you can't be present because you're mentally doing math. It shows up when going over a number triggers shame, restriction, punishment, compensating, or the classic, well, I ruined it, might as well burn the day down and start over Monday. And here's the important part. Obsession isn't about tracking a lot. It's about what tracking means to you. If tracking is helping you learn and move through your day like a normal human being, cool. If tracking becomes the thing that determines your worth, your peace, or whether you feel allowed to relax, then tracking isn't a tool anymore. It's an identity. It's a coping strategy, and it's a control system. And I want to be really honest with you. I didn't learn this from a textbook. I learned it from living inside of it. For me, tracking didn't feel like information. It did feel like safety. Like if I logged every bite and stayed under a number, I was good. I was in control. I was allowed to feel okay. And if I didn't track or if I went over, my brain treated it like an emergency. Not a normal, I ate more than planned moment, more like, you blew it, you're a failure. And I'd end up curled up on my bed, cringing, crying, and feeling like a number had just handed me a verdict on my worth. And I do want to zoom out for a second because this obsession didn't magically appear when I became an adult. It started really young, too young. I recently found an old food diary from when I was like 10. I was 10. I flipped to one day, and the page wasn't even fully filled out, but there was one entry written down, and it said, 1 cert, like 1 cert's mint. That's what I tracked, at 10. I was worried about the calories in a mint. Mint. And I laugh sometimes because it's so ridiculous, but I also cringe because it's so sad. That's how early my brain learned that food wasn't just food, it was math, it was control, it was how I tried to be okay. But tracking wasn't the whole problem. It was actually part of a bigger war that I was fighting with myself. If you want the full version of this story, click here. Or here. I don't know where it goes. Click here. And you'll find my beastly story. But if you'd rather read it, I also wrote out the whole story on my website. I'll put both links in the description too. And if this is you and you feel stuck in that tracking obsession or that war with yourself, I'm a coach, and this is literally what I help people with. You can book a free exploration chat with me using the link in the description, and we'll talk about what's going on and what support could look like. Now, let's get into how to spot when tracking has crossed over that line for you and what healing can look like when you want awareness without shame.
When to stop tracking.
Okay, let's talk about when it's time to stop, pause, or at least loosen your grip. Not because tracking is evil, but because sometimes the cost is way too high. If tracking creates more stress than support, it's time to step back. If it ramps up anxiety, rigidity, obsessive thoughts, or shame, it's time to step back. And I want to say this clearly because it matters. Tracking can look like you're being healthy on paper, but if the process is making your nervous system live in a constant state of threat, that's not health, that's stress. Chronic stress, shame, and self-attack are way more damaging to your overall well-being than eating 200 calories more than you were supposed to on a random Wednesday. Going over a number is not toxic. Living in fear of that number is. If you feel like you can't eat unless it's logged, or going over a number feels like a crisis instead of just information, it's time to step back. If tracking triggers restriction, compensating, punishment workouts, or a shame spiral, it's time to step back. Because here's the truth. The goal of tracking isn't to track forever like it's your full-time job and your app is your boss. The goal is to build awareness that you can keep when you stop tracking. If tracking is building dependency instead of skill, the tool's no longer serving your health adventure. It's running it.
Heal the beast. How to keep awareness without shame.
Healing here is not just stop tracking. Healing is rebuilding self-trust. It's teaching your nervous system that you can be safe without being perfect. Because for most people, the obsession was never really about the app. It was about what the app was trying to solve emotionally. Fear, control, scarcity, the belief that you have to be smaller, stricter, or more perfect to be acceptable. So here's how we heal the beast practically. First, we separate the data from the worth. If you choose to track, you practice a new relationship with the numbers. And honestly, for some people, the most healing way to start is to not even give yourself a target at all. Hold on, hear me out. No calorie goal, no macro goal, no scoreboard. Just gather data like a nerdy scientist. You're not tracking to win, you're tracking to learn. The app is not the judge, it's a notebook. And this is where noticing without judging becomes your best friend. Again, you're practicing awareness without turning it into a shame spiral. You notice what you ate, you notice how you feel. You notice what your brain says about it, and you don't immediately label it good or bad. Even if judgment shows up because you're a human being, you notice that too, like, oh look, there's my inner critic doing the most. Noted. That's it. Not punished, just noticed. Because awareness creates choice, and choice is where freedom starts. If a number pops up and your brain tries to spiral, you practice saying, out loud if you need to, this is information, not a verdict. You practice not turning missed logs into character flaws. The point is not perfect tracking, the point is regulated brain and kinder inner voice. Second, we redefine success. Success is flexibility. Success is being able to eat a meal, enjoy your life, and move on without mentally putting yourself on trial. Success is being able to gather the data without turning it into a grade. Success is being able to miss a log, have an untracked meal, or go off script for a day and still feel grounded. That's self-trust. That's healing. The goal is peace, not perfection. Third, if you're not ready to stop tracking but you know you're too attached, use it like training wheels instead of handcuffs. Make it a temporary learning phase with an end date. A staircase step, not a forever identity. The goal is to internalize awareness, not outsource your intuition to an app forever. Fourth, bridge away from numbers by tracking cues instead. This is actually one of my favorite Heal the Beast moves because it keeps awareness and dials down the obsession. Before you eat, check in with your hunger and your stress. After you eat, check in with your satisfaction and how your body feels an hour later. That's still tracking, but it's connection-based tracking, not punishment-based tracking. You're learning your body's language instead of only trusting an app. Fifth, plan for the spiral. If shame hits, you don't need a punishment plan. You need a nervous system plan. One time, me and my hot husband, back when he was my hot boyfriend, we ate Chinese food and I way overstuffed myself, like food coma status. And instead of just being a normal human who ate way too much and moved on, I got hit with instant guilt. So I marched myself to our little apartment complex gym and I got on the elliptical for an hour. A f***ing hour. My stomach hurt so badly I thought I was gonna throw up, but in my head I was like, well, at least I burned off some of it. And that's just not how our bodies work. We're not robots with perfectly allotted calorie allowances like we're running on a monthly data plan. Bodies are dynamic. Appetite shifts, need shifts, and some days you eat more because you moved more, slept less, had more stress, or you're just literally hungrier. You can't cardio your way out of being a human. And I'm not gonna say this because I'm a show-off or anything, but I don't live here anymore. Food doesn't cause shame for me now. Not because I'm special and not because I finally got disciplined, but because I've done so much inner work over the last few years, mainly with coaches and therapists. I've healed the belief underneath the behavior. So I'm sharing that story from the other side of it because I want you to know it doesn't have to stay like that. So if shame still shows up for you, here's the move. Pause, breathe, name it. My brain is looking for safety. Remind yourself that you can be safe without punishing yourself. Then do one regulating action, not a compensating action. Regulation might look like drinking water, eating a real next meal, going for a walk for your brain, not your calorie burn, texting someone, taking a shower, turning on music, or doing something that brings you back to the present. And let me say this part clearly. The nervous system plan is a tool for the messy middle, not a life sentence. The real goal is that food doesn't trigger shame anymore. The goal is peace. The goal is freedom. The goal is that you can have a day that doesn't match the plan, and it doesn't mean anything about your worth. You just keep going. Still worthy, still safe, still you. 6th, work with the belief underneath the behavior. Obsessive tracking almost always has a belief attached to it, like, if I'm not in control, I'm not safe, or if I gain weight, I'll be unlovable, or my worth depends on my body. Heal the Beast work is not screaming at that belief. It's gently challenging it and building evidence for a new one. You're not trying to delete fear. You're teaching it that it doesn't have to drive. And here's the thing. Most of the time, we're not even aware of the belief running the show because it's been there for so long it just feels like truth. That's also why getting a coach, someone like me, can be a game changer. A good coach helps you spot the belief, name it, and start rewriting it. Because you can't change a pattern that you can't see. And finally, you can want change without hating yourself into it. You can have goals, you can want to feel more comfortable in your body, and you can want better habits. But hate is not a sustainable fuel source. And love doesn't mean chaos or no structure. Love just means the structure serves you, not harms you. Love means that you can be imperfect and still show up. All right, so let's wrap it up. Tracking is a tool. It can teach you, it can support awareness. But if it becomes obsessive, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means your brain has been using control as safety. The healing is learning safety without perfection, awareness without shame, growth without self-abuse, and freedom to use the tool when it helps, and freedom to pull it down when it harms. And I want to leave you with this. You don't have to earn your worth through numbers. You get to build a relationship with yourself that feels safe, steady, and kind, even on imperfect days. That is real health. That is real freedom. And that is coming home to you. So let me know in the comments, are you terrified to track, terrified not to track, or somewhere in the messy middle of trying to find peace? And if this video helped, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one as you keep unveiling the beautiful beast within you.